Today is Thursday, January 2nd, and today's agricultural fact of the day and the first ag fact of the new year pertains to Tyson. So I refreshed agdaily.com on my smartboard screen, and a new article popped up highlighting some of the issues that Missouri farmers are facing, building on what my ag fact of the day was from a few weeks ago, where I was discussing some of the issues with Tyson. So this is going into a little bit more detail and describing in further detail of what those farmers are experiencing and why this is such an issue and a big problem for the agricultural industry. Today's ag fact: the legal fight intensifies after Tyson cuts contracts with poultry farmers. Missouri farmers accuse Tyson of colluding to keep competitors from buying a shuttered plant, leaving them stranded with millions in debt. For example, in 2013, Sean Hinkle, who was one of the producers that was highlighted in this article, borrowed $2.3 million to build 2 chicken houses on his land, which were built to Tyson's standards, and the company continually mandated upgrades, which landed him with a final $2.8 million in debt. And this was over the course of 10 years. And this is an issue with these contracting companies, is that they actually don't own those buildings. So when they shut down plants, who's really suffering here is actually the farmers that have provided the space for Tyson to raise their chicks. When the plants closed down, he was facing bankruptcy due to the breach in contract. Tyson claimed that the Dexter plant closure was part of a national effort to streamline production and boost profits. Tyson coordinated the sale of the processing facility closely with Cal-Maine Foods, who purchased the plant, and prevented farmers from continuing their same operations with other Tyson competitors, like Purdue. Tyson Foods produces 1/5 of all of the meat in the United States. So there are 3 farmers, in the research that I've conducted, there are 3 farmers that are suing Tyson, and this is the entire thing. So basically, Cal-Maine, they worked with Tyson so that those competitors didn't know what Tyson was doing when they were shutting down their plant. And Sanderson's Food, which is another large chicken producer, and Purdue did not have the opportunity to purchase that plant and continue contracting with the farmers that had lost out in that breach of contract. So Cal-Maine basically reached out to those farmers, and instead of processing meat chickens, they transitioned to an egg processing facility. So they reached out to the farmers and said, if you retrofit your barns, we will be able to take your product. And of course, that also would have included more debt. Hinkle declined that. I believe from what I read in this article, I'm not going to go through it again because I've read this article like 4 times, but from the sounds of it, he did not end up contracting with Cal-Maine, and he actually did end up having laying hens, but he was using them to produce chicks for other farmers. Now, further down in this article on Ag Daily, it said that Hinkle's career with Tyson Foods began in 2013 when 2 managers from the plant said they had an offer that would change his life. They said Hinkle could build a massive factory farm on his land using borrowed money that Tyson would help him obtain, where he could raise tens of thousands of chickens at a time under contract for Tyson and earn a stable income for decades. To put a preface of where this individual was coming from when he decided to take Tyson at their word and continue into the meat poultry production industry, Hinkle lived on a sprawling cattle farm handed down to him from his father, a farm where Hinkle had been doing daily labor and chores since he was 12 years old. By the time the Tyson managers came to visit, his 1,200-acre spread was nearly paid off. Hinkle was hesitant about Tyson's offer. He had heard stories about farmers being forced to borrow money and upgrade equipment only to have their contracts later terminated without warning. But the Tyson managers assured him those were old stories. Hinkle's original fears came true a decade later when Tyson closed the Dexter plant. And one thing I forgot to mention, so I was incorrect. There's actually 4 other farmers in addition to Hinkle, but the deal with Cal-Maine Foods, they would only work with those farmers under the agreement that they would not sue Tyson in the future. So if you were a farmer and you contracted with Cal-Maine, it basically was, the premise was that you could never go back on Tyson because you were able to find another contract. This article goes into immense detail, but the last thing that I am going to leave you with is that the agreement between Tyson and Cal-Maine, the egg processing facility, has eliminated and will eliminate for 25 years any competition in the Dexter market area for the services of chicken growers. The farmers believe Tyson intentionally prevented the sale to a competitor in order to cut supply and raise prices on poultry. Now, I know that some people are left with no option, but I do encourage you to reconsider your purchasing habits when you are in the grocery store, taking this in mind. A lot of chicken in the coolers, the fresh chicken that's not frozen, you don't really know where that came from. Most of it is unbranded or labeled under a store brand. So there's really not much control over that. But the processed chicken that's in the freezer section, that usually has labels on it and the name of the plant that processed it. So just keep that in mind. And yes, I know that many people couldn't believe that we actually started back to school on January 2nd, and in the great state of New York, we do that. It is a nice winter wonderland out again, and we have lake effect snow, and my husband and my children had a snow day, so the district that I reside in did not have school today. Unfortunately, I had a very, very long commute to where I teach, so kind of sucked. Hopefully the drive home is better, but I know that my children will be excited because we will have plowable snow at home, so maybe I will post a video of them plowing snow on their little tractors. And by tractors, I actually mean a lawn tractor, like a legitimate Cub Cadet that an adult would drive. But Levi loves that thing. My husband fixed the plow, and that was the very first video that I ever had go viral, was my 4-year-old plowing snow.